Yo, it's your boys back here for another episode 140. It's me, Shane, Trent,
Hello.
and Hugh.
Hey.
How are you?
He's good.
He's good?
I'm doing quite well.
Very nice. Excellent. So, let's go into this episode here of just kind of recapping a few events that went down. And so we're going to do this into two parts as well. So, we're going to go some one stuff today. You'll do UFC stuff. And then hopefully the second part there will be recapping all the action that happened in the Muay Thai Grand Prix Australia action, which is on, we're recording on the fight day itself.
Yeah.
So,
that'll go down tonight.
Congrats. You'll hear this after this. So, congrats to you guys. Whoever wins when we find out tomorrow.
Insert name here. Congratulations to insert name.
You'll hear from future me in a few minutes with the results.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, let's go on this one card. It wasn't too bad, one card. And it was it was half this time. It was half striking and half mixed martial arts from there. So let's go from the bottom of the card, Muhammad bin Mahood versus Hansi Zhao. And it's been a while since I feel like Hansi Zhao's fought, because he was well, I guess before Corona, he was very active, and he was also in title contention as well.
Yeah, he fought Nongo. Fought Nongo for the title when Nongo just right kicked him to absolute oblivion. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like Nongo. Talking about. But this one again, it was the officiating kind of side of things again. It got a little bit weird. Muhammad bin Mahood's got some good skills.
Yeah, he had a good hard start.
Yeah, but very susceptible to the hands. So he got absolutely blasted a few times with Hansi Zhao's right hand, in particular, and Hansi Zhao doesn't mind a bit of just pot shotting and going for the kill off of this. And it just seemed again like what we saw the other week, where the ref was kind of going, do I count? Am I waiting for am I looking for the outside official?
Yeah,
to get the going.
What do you think's going on with the officiating at the moment?
I
should ask someone.
Yeah, it's
who might know.
It'd be looked into some context, because there's obviously maybe some stuff outside, but it just kind of seems like the official itself is not taking upon himself to go, oh, I'm going to do the count. He's go, do you guys reckon this is a count? Okay, we should count. Yeah,
there seems to be a lot of cross-checking with someone outside. I don't know if maybe, they don't have access to, obviously borders are keeping things somewhat limited. I don't know if maybe they don't have access to experienced sort of Muay Thai and kickboxing refs. And
maybe it's a confidence thing.
MMA guys who are sort of double taking on things.
I'm not used to counting people, I just call the fight.
Yeah, I just call it off.
That you can't have that though.
Yeah.
That's pretty dangerous.
Because there was one little point that I think it was the second knockdown I was looking at. He got absolutely stuck, and the fence was holding him up. Yeah. And it was you can see the ref going, oh, maybe I should jump in, and he just cops probably about 3 other shots he didn't need to cop. Yeah. Before the count there. He got pretty smashed.
Rough one as well, because he took a little bit of, took some kind of sort of damage after the fact against Liam Harrison as well. Yeah. Earlier in the year, not even that long ago, really. So, a couple of pretty rough stoppages in a row for Jordan Boy. Yeah,
it was, mate. And from the outset, from before, it was even funny. Even the commentators going Georgie Boy here is looking pretty good. Gets starched with the right hand on the first knockdown, but he was looking good. He was
he looked
kick
good.
game was good, taping pretty well, because you know what Hansi Zhao's going to do. Look, he's going to walk forward. Yeah, you can kind of game plan for that. Yeah, in some ways, I feel like Jordan Boy is he knows how to play a long man's game. He tapes well, kicks well. Actually has quite a nice clinch when he's in there as well. But in some ways, I feel like he's a tall fighter who it's kind of to his disadvantage. His height, he knows how to play the long man's game, but struggles a lot. If you look at how he was stopped last night and how Harrison stopped him, it's it's a shorter puncher is a lot of trouble for him. Whereas typically that long kick and teep base fighter is kind of supposed to be the hard match for the shorter, stockier fighter. It does seem to be the shorter man is advantaged in there. He struggles a lot in the pocket with someone who likes to punch. That's it. And it seems we keep getting matched up that way as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's had a few because he fought that really short, nuggety Greek guy as well. That Sturgios or
forget, but he looks pretty good at the game.
Yeah, look good in that one. But yeah, that was the same thing. He seems to just fight like short punches, which is kind of like his. I don't know. Everyone has their difficult stylistic matchup. I think that's his. From I've only really seen him in one, but that seems to be.
Yeah,
his kryptonite is someone who's a shorter man who can close the space and likes to box on the inside, such as Liam Harrison or Hunter Howell.
Yeah. Well, this fight ended in the second round. Like he just got taken off his feet. He got up and same thing again. The ref goes, should I count? He goes, all right, we'll count this. And then Georgie Boy's just standing up and it's like he's just 8, 9. Georgie's there with his hands up, 10. It's good. You don't have to complete the 10 count if you knew you're going to call it off anyway.
It's that kind of old-fashioned rule. Like, if it's over, like, you know that old-fashioned rule, like, it's an 8 count. And if they can't answer the 8 count, you count to 10 and then wave it.
Yeah.
Like, just 2 unnecessary counts.
So it's like, just get the doctor and sit that man down.
Yeah, pretty much. Or, like, don't let him kind of feel like he has to, like, prep him, ready himself to get back in. Like, just start letting him kickstart the... him getting tended to.
All right, so going up from that, so there's a couple mixed martial art bouts on this, and probably like one of the more interesting ones was Ryoto Sawada versus Lee Mai-Tao, and like this was like Japan versus China, and it seemed like it. I'm looking
stacked
at it
with Chinese
fighters. It was all Chinese fighters on one side, China versus the world. Or China versus the rest of Asia. As it seems.
And Jordan Boy.
He's Malaysian.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
okay. So, this was a very grappling heavy match as well. Like, I think what the commentary was saying was Sawada has had over 200 wrestling matches before. And you can see straight off the bat, like, Lee Tao just wanted the bang, bro. Yeah. And just got double leg straight off the bat. Yeah.
And double legged again and again and again and again.
Yeah. Sawada's top control to back control game was pretty good.
It was. He at one point, I can't remember if it was the first or second round, he did a hard double leg against the fence, dragged him to the ground and just did the full mount. But if what's his name? Lee Tao, when he bridged, Sawada would just wait for him to bridge and turn away from him and take the back, and he backpacked him for a huge amount of all 3 rounds.
Yeah, I think he was like a little bit unlucky not to get some of those chokes. They were pretty close.
Yeah, he was controlling him pretty well from behind. Like, but the way he was doing it, he was underhooking on the shoulder like that to turn him flat, whereas he could have been like sinking in rear naked choke a few times, and he made a few attempts, but his chest was not directly on the back, so Lee Tao was sort of like escaping out of them a fair bit, which is unfortunate because he had heaps of opportunities to finish that fight. So Lee Tao, he wasn't like terrible on the ground. His escapes and his defense were okay, and he knew enough to be able to stand out of certain positions, especially when Sawada, he'd like turn into an armbar from close guard. He did that a few times, but Lee Tao managed to stuff that a few times as well.
I know it's like we were saying like the Japanese fighters, me and Hugh were commenting before, like these guys are absolutely stacked. The rigs on these fellas in Japan is outstanding.
Big dudes.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know with this weight cutting thing, but like, these guys are walking at least like 8 kilos above their fight.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about, because it's not just how big they are, it's like how big they are in the ring or the cage. Like they rehydrate a lot overnight. Like I don't understand.
Sawada's shoulders were popping, man. He was just like,
absolutely huge. There was also in this fight, there was a yellow card given in this fight because Lee Tao he's being a bit cheeky, putting his hands inside the gloves to pry away the chokes.
He's digging those fingers in nice and deep. But it's a yellow card, and they were saying it's a 10% of your purse or something.
Pride stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's like you lose some cash, mate.
That's a good incentive not to cheat.
Or be boring.
Well, that's it. It's with it's like, a little bit of Don Darcy, but it's a bit hard to do when, like, if the person's on your back and the ref's right over top of you and you're just digging your fingers into the gloves to go, I'll take this choke off.
I'll take the 10% loss.
Yeah. But then they reset them back on the back. But, it's always, when you do a reset, it's never the same
position. It's not the same.
It's never as deep.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But, like, in the end, though, like, well, you saw the first 2 rounds, Sawada, like, just really getting, just grappling the heck out of him. But then in the third round, you could see the fatigue start to set in. Like he was taking a few double legs that just didn't have as much steam on them, and Lee Tao was doing the nice little head push off and then trying to stand and bang.
Yeah.
But Sawada's still he was still relentless with the takedown. He eventually got a single and just kind of waited it out.
Yeah.
Rested around.
That's it. And he ran out the clock in the end. But I don't know. I don't want to say he was having a rest for the remainder of the third, but he could have. I thought he could have finished him. He could have sunk in a real deep rear naked choke a few times, but he chose to control instead. So maybe next time smash.
It's one of those things, I guess, when you're that deep and you go, look, I'm probably got this decision. I could try and go for this choke, but if I fail on it, then there might be a good chance that I might get smashed.
Yeah, exactly. But it was fun to watch.
Yeah, nice. So there's a couple other matches from there, but we're going to go more so the ones that we didn't get to see at all from that. Let's go to your boy. What's it? Sagadao?
Oh, yeah, Sagadao back.
Yeah. After a minute?
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know when the last time Sagadao fought Muay Thai was, but I think it was something like 2013. It's been a hot minute because Sagadao has he was fighting in one before they had a super series. Because he actually hopped over to MMA and had a few fights. He had 6 fights or something with a winning record. But even I think maybe he had retired from that as well. I don't think he's been doing a whole lot of anything.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I wasn't keeping up super closely with his MMA fights because I remember before one even had the super series, they announced that Fabio Pinco was going to have his MMA debut against Sagadao.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a few years before Fabio Pinco. Obviously, he's made his MMA debut now a couple of weeks ago. But this was a few years before he had done that. So I hadn't really been keeping up with Sagadao. But he was a monster in his day in the stadiums. Absolutely ridiculously good Thai boxer. A multi-time Lumpini champion. So cool to see him back. Interesting to see it looked it looked good. It was just very much like a kick and control kind of game played by Sagadao. Nothing revolutionary, just kind of stuck. Look, not super the style that he would have fought in the stadiums generally. Yeah, I think possibly a little bit of ring rust.
Yeah. Well, he was fighting the Japanese fighter Zhang Qingyu in this match. Does Sagadao train out of, is he a trainer out of Evolve?
I believe so, yeah.
They just go, hey, we need someone else. Sagadao, you're going to dust off your gloves for this one? He goes, why not?
Yeah, good to see. Good sort of left kick, control range. Just really kind of, just shutting down a little bit was kind of it. Definitely looked a little bit slower than we've seen him in the past, but I think just possibly a bit of ring rust. Yeah. I would be interested to see him fight again. Yeah, nothing kind of. I have only watched it the once, but nothing kind of crazy in this one. Just a bit of a
did the job.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was kind of a did the job sort of fight. Sagadao's obviously slowed down a fair bit since his heyday, as is to be expected of his experience, but definitely still moves well, still has really good timing. He's just, look, he could get back in better form as well. Could have just been a ring rust thing. We'd have to see how much of it, if he does fight again. I'm not sure what the plan is. But yeah, still exceptional timing and good ring control, just noticeably less explosive than we've seen him in the past. Yeah, just good performance. Good, just fundamental performance by Sagadao.
Yeah, just takes the win by decision in the end.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think, was any of the other MMA fights whatever you were talking about, John?
Not really. I did like, one thing Lee Tao did well was use his butterfly hooks and his butterfly guard. So I don't think it's used enough in
a good
MMA.
counteraction to the top heavy game.
Yeah, yeah. So he did know what he was doing to counter that top heavy sort of wrestling style, but it's not used enough in MMA. It's a good way to keep people off you and stand back up again, rather than going straight to closed guard. That's what Suwada did a few times. But the other MMA fight, what were the names?
You have Keanu.
Yeah, that's it. Keanu Reeves. Sabah
versus Tankai.
Yeah, that was mostly on the feet. I'm not going to comment too much on the stand-up, but the grappling exchanges that were there were fine, but you could tell they both wanted to keep it standing on that one.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's just go straight to the main event there. So we had Hiroki Akimoto versus Zhang Chenglong. Zhang Chenglong, he fought Tyler Hardcastle?
He fought Tyler,
yeah. In a kickboxing bout. Supposedly in the commentary as well, like I think it was this match he said he fought in a 300-man kumite.
Yeah.
At one point.
I think that was Akimoto.
Akimoto?
I mean, it was one of them.
One of them. It's like, it sounds like a pretty karate or kung fu thing to do.
Kumite. Sounds made up as shit.
Is it a real thing? No one's ever explained it to me.
Kumite.
Is kumite a real thing? Is this like...
For karate, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Like, they go back in the day, like, it's like, this man done 100-man kumite. And he passed his belt exam. So I'm not too sure. I'm probably like pissed off a lot of people just saying. But like, I don't care.
The 300-man kumite where he was talking about it being 3 straight days. Like, it sounds sort of fabricated. It sounds
it's like we were saying, like the Joe Rogan story of his mate just goes like, look, just drop me in the woods. I got this kumite. Pick me up in 2 days. Comes back in 2 days. Got a bag full of trophies. Goes, hey man, like, where did this happen? Oh, just fought a kumite in the wilderness.
It sounds a lot like that story. A lot like that story.
Did he buy the trophies? Is that the suggestion?
Well, he said like he didn't let him see what's in the duffel bag that he had with him before.
I see.
Like he dropped him off, but just like he goes, hey, open this, look what I got. Random trophy. There's probably like a hockey trophy in there.
Basketball.
It's like participation award.
Yeah.
But like, so looking at the Akimoto versus Chenglong Zong fight, ended up being a split decision. So it was a close fight.
It was close. Like Akimoto, from what I've seen of him, he had a couple of good starts. He had like kind of like a mixed bag starting off in one. To the best I can recall, he fought and beat Josh and lost to Joseph Lassiri. But I think like this was interesting. He's got that quite Kyokushin karate style. Like he works well in sort of bursts, but he doesn't fight. He's not super capable of fighting on the inside. Like inside boxing was quite difficult for him to deal with because he can do damage well in like straight line bursts, but doesn't respond to... He can exit well as well, but he doesn't respond well to someone who can kind of cut the cage and sort of pressure him, because if he has to be made to fight a kind of inside boxing exchange, he didn't have a super tight guard coming from that sort of Kyokushin background and just doesn't have the kind of in-tight boxing experience. Like that's where Lassiri got him.
Yeah.
But this one looked like he'd really sort of adapted his style since the last time I'd seen him. Like was carrying in a tighter guard and actually fighting pretty sweet on the inside. Exiting quite well as well. Like I think that was where this was pretty close. I have to watch it a bit closer, but I couldn't really pick it. Just like I just watched it, gave it a bit of a gloss over. It was one of those ones where I didn't pay like super close attention, but when it was going to the cards, I couldn't tell who had won like definitively. It looked like pretty close. The exchanges were nice, but that was kind of the main point for me, was like how much better Akimoto is at fighting on the inside now.
Made the adaptations to the game.
Doing some good work in the pocket and then exiting the pocket like pretty tidy as well. Like a lot of sort of he would do some boxing because Chenglong Zhang is like a bit more of a single shotter. Like he's quite an explosive. Like he just likes to sort of sit in the pocket and just uncork big singles. So it was a little bit like Akimoto just getting in, doing a little bit of inside work and then sort of kicking on the break just to take away the power punching. So yeah, some nice work from both sides. I do think as well, like there was a bit of like Chenglong Zhang was doing a bit of sweeping and stuff like that, which obviously won't score in kickboxing, but can affect your perception of who's winning.
Yeah.
Which I guess like that's why I'm not so good at scoring kickboxing, because like everyone always does techniques that aren't kickboxing techniques. And you have
a little
to
bit of Don dust.
Yeah, you have to be able to like separate. But like perception is important, right? Like one person's on the floor and one person's standing up. It's just those little like subconscious perception things that come from.
Yeah. And it's like, and same thing, it takes energy for you to pick yourself up during the fight. Like, you break that rhythm, you fall in.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, you get back up. And also that feeling, because this motherfucker's not meant to do this.
Yeah.
Well,
that's like kind of my thing with kickboxing, especially these days. Is like I feel like there's a lot of techniques that are like frowned upon rather than explicitly illegal. Like sweeps and stuff. Like some people make a big game of sweeping in kickboxing and it's not supposed to be legal. Like I've never really understood. Like, but I said a lot. I just have no understanding of kickboxing.
Nah. But it's like, entertaining enough though.
No, this was a good fight. Would have to watch it a little bit closer to give my definitive take on the score, but definitely a close one and some big improvements in making his game a little bit more international kickboxing centric rather than purely Kyokushin for Hiroki Akimoto.
Yeah.
But yeah, good fight.
Cool. And yeah, not a bad show overall. Like even for like, this is like it was like a smaller show really compared to like the other bigger shows they had on.
Yeah, this was like when I saw this one announced last week, I didn't know there was, or I saw it like advertised last week rather. I didn't know there was a one this week.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it got pushed as hard as some of the other ones. But then again, it might be just more location wise, like because Josh fought that one, so there's a lot more hype into it, and maybe in Singapore it might get pushed a little bit more as well.
Well, the other thing was they didn't pretend this one was live, so like that kind of tells you it wasn't really as big a deal either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they were doing those secret.
Sorry, I got distracted by Rob Cooks sending me a message. we got him coming on the podcast. So yeah, actually, you probably already listened to it. You already listened to it. Yeah. So we're doing We're doing pre-recordings. But yeah, but a good show nonetheless, and just see how it goes in time. So
they got some MMA show next week with 17 title fights.
Jesus. Oh, now they're going back. They're going back to the old one style.
Yeah. Like I say 17, there's 4. Four
I was
is a
about to
lot.
say, where'd they get?
There's obviously not actually. I don't even think they have 17.
Where'd they get 17 fights from? I've been sitting on them. Yeah.
But yeah, there's like 4 title fights. Like Martin Nguyen's fighting.
Ah, nice.
The Golden Boy Christian Lee's fighting.
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
I don't know who else is fighting.
Martin Lee, the situation.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm all about that. And it's been a while since he fought as well.
Yeah.
I like Martin Nguyen.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's just go over before we kind of cut off and go into Muay Thai Grand Prix recap. So we got to talk about this one. UFC Fight Night 179, probably one of the most spectacular knockouts on there. They seem for a while, probably goes out for knockout of the year, pretty close.
I had to be, yeah.
Yeah. So the match that we're talking about in particular, there's a couple other matches they'll kind of gloss over here, but the main one that everyone talked about after this event was it Joaquin Buckley versus oh my god, okay, Impa Kasasanai. That
very nice.
Yeah,
okay.
I just glossed my way through that one.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah. So this kind of brought into like a bit of talk into in MMA the catching of kicks.
Yeah, well, because we were talking about this like a week before this. Like we were discussing the whole catching kicks in MMA thing.
Yes. It's like usually if they catch a kick, it's usually they're driving them to the mat. But even when they're not, like say if they don't drive them to the mat, there seems to always be a lot like the guy that got his kick caught that goes, oh, I guess he got me.
It's wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, can lend time, like if you're not expecting something to come back, it might be even as simple as you get your kick caught and you just start trying to punch him off that. But this one in particular is like, we've seen it happen a few times before, but never actually pulled off. So what happened here when Buckley got his kick caught, he basically spun out of it and landed a back kick to the face of Impa.
Yeah.
And totally flatlined him on impact. But you can see Impa as well, like, he caught the kick and he just goes, what's going on here? He just got absolutely foot to the face and then Sparko.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a couple things off the catch and kick thing. This was sort of just some opportunistic shot selection. But I feel like in MMA, like we touched on, it's a bit of like when a guy gets his kick caught, he just kind of waits to see what's happened. Like as far as a striking exchange is concerned, when guys get their kicks caught, they think of it as just like that's game over for whatever they threw. And the other side of it's like if you're the catcher, you're sort of just generally thinking a little bit more wrestling if you catch the kick. But it means guys like here, the kick was caught, his chin was right up in the air, and he was just. I guess people take it as a little bit of like a like you've already won if you catch the kick. Like it's a break.
Yeah.
Like they catch the kick and they sort of just give up any semblance of defensive responsibility. I mean, this was just bizarre. Like, you wouldn't expect that angle either way. Nah. But I think as well, like a lot of the time in MMA, there's no thought that someone can hit you on one leg. Like they if someone catches a kick, especially that sort of more conventional, like just under the arm catching of a round kick, like the hands aren't up. It's like part of that's that obviously the objective becomes to wrestle. But there's a lot of susceptibility to being able to counter if you have the confidence and the balance to do so off of one leg. Like there's a lot of untapped potential in there.
Well, that's it.
For MMA strategically.
Typically in wrestling, they're swinging it real up high and either catch it on the shoulder or just swing it and trip.
Well, it's like I was saying, like in MMA, usually a lot of times they just grab it and just plow them to the other side. Yeah. Because like, Muay Thai, you're not allowed to plow because too many people fall out of the ring. But in MMA, there's a cage, so you're not going to fall out of the ring. So you can take as many steps as you want and do whatever you want on that. But like in terms of like Buckley, Jesus, he's so dynamic to pull that off. And I know it's like one of those things as well. Like you said, he goes, "Oh, I practiced this heaps of times." I go, really?
Yeah.
Like, okay. But I can imagine you practicing the back kick, but off a catch.
I like that. I've seen this practice before. Like, I feel like it's one of those things. Someone catches your kick, right? You was just fucking around with something like shoot, but like it's
just gotta try something.
Yeah, I saw him get asked like, "Oh, is that something you've practiced or just come up with on the spot?" And he goes, "No, I've practiced that thousands of times. Never hit it though."
Yeah,
never hit it.
Yeah, true.
He's hit it now.
Like the only other time I remember like Lando Venato trying it a few times.
Yeah.
Like and more like in a wheel kick kind of fashion instead of like a back kick, which is like just straight up.
There was a wheel kick done on that card as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So
the main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Marlon Moraes. Like look, Corey Sandhagen's always been hanging around like as like that guy that's just waiting for the breakthrough, looks great, and then like takes an L and then has to restart again. And this fight from here, he took Marlon Moraes to task, really, just big body kicks, fucking massive as well compared to Marlon Moraes. Marlon Moraes is pretty small anyhow, but
he's like super jacked, but he has a small frame, and a small voice. Yeah.
But you could see like that. Moraes style, like, Sandhagen's hitting the body kicks and that weighs off over time, but you can see like the return kicks that Moraes finally made in the leg. You see the power difference, but because he puts so much power into a lot of his shots, and I think he spends a lot of his time just kind of holding on to his posture, like really tense. So like he just gasses himself, and you can see in the second round if you go, "Oh, I think I need to take a little bit of a rest," but got pulled on him, and then just that wheel kick just came out, and you could just see it just clipped his dome.
Yeah,
and it's like and Moraes did a backward roll afterwards, and Sandhagen followed up and just pretty much finished that fight. Yeah, not too often you get to see that though. Two kind of spinning kick kind of stuff, like actual goes into a fight ending situation.
Yeah,
I keep hearing people mentioning Taekwondo techniques and that. Is that creeping in? Is that true, or is it just?
I was thinking.
I don't know. I feel like they were always there.
There was more times to do it. It's like I remember when Boccal came to Sydney and did the SRG. SRG brought him out, Lewis Regis, and they were saying one of the techniques he taught was the wheel kick, and he goes,
he throws that.
Yeah, like the crocodile wicks the tail. He goes, well, and they go, oh, why do you do that? He goes, like, yeah, you get bonus. You knock someone out, you get a bonus for that. And I go, fair enough.
So it's not just something you'd see limited to Taekwondo or certain styles. It's interchangeable.
Well, that's it. You'll probably hear in the Rob Cox podcast one where we talk about where a lot of the flashy techniques like jump knees and that kind of stuff, that is a part of Muay Thai, but the gambling kind of offset them to go more basic in fights as well. And that's why I heard him say in an interview with Mudzi from Muay Thai interviews as well. So like it's an interesting topic to look into. Also.
Yeah, the other side of that is in like MMA. There's a lot of opening just for the exchanges. Leave a lot of just room for kind of unpredictability, like the amount of ranges you can move between, which creates openings for things like spinning kicks and stuff like that. Whereas when you're looking at elite level Thai boxing, the other side of we'll get Rob Cox's take on it, I'm sure shortly. Like my sort of understanding watching things move is it just like, Muay Thai fights that are elite level in the stadiums, it's like it's a lot more difficult to get away with some overt sort of flash. Like if you watch, like that's kind of the beauty of high level stadium Muay Thai is like the whole thing is the movements are so fine and things like that. It's just like it's really a game of millimeters. I think really flashy spinning techniques and stuff like that at an elite stadium level have kind of just been eradicated for lack of efficiency.
Yeah.
It's just not so because you get guys that spin, like Sexton will spin. Unsuccessfully.
You have a crack.
Yeah, it's just something that it's something that would be interested to hear people's thoughts on this because I know people like to argue about classic styles and stuff like that. But I a lot of the time feel because people put a lot of actually I could go on this for too long, so I'm only going to touch on it because I have a lot of things. I have a lot of thoughts. I always see people saying like, oh, it was just the gambling, like the gamblers came in and people stopped throwing flashy techniques, and people always talk about there's Muay Boran. You see Muay Boran. But I just think the sport kind of but sports evolve in line with people wanting to win in the system, and I think like that's just over the years these classic techniques that involve the kind of more flash and stuff like that have sort of just been stamped out. That's not to say they don't exist at all. Like, there can be a place,
of course,
but it's just like as foundation techniques, they're not treated as a priority issue for risk versus reward. Basically, is kind of the cliff notes of my take on that.
Yeah, of course. Like, you know, like I'd never think a style should be based on, like, you know, flash. And and also, because like it's like in every combat sports, there's high percentage moves that you want to use as a majority of your game. But every now and again, there's going to be something that you can do that probably not else people can do from that you want to have as a back, like, you know, it can fit in somewhere within your game.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's a spin technique as well.
Yeah. It's sort of like the running joke in our gym is how much I hate spinning shit. But it's like, I don't hate spinning shit as such. Like, if you throw something that jumps or spins or backflips or whatever, and you knock your opponent out, you win. Yeah. That's like, that's that, fair play. I just think spinning shit is bad so much more often than it's good. And like now, and like you, I was starting out once and like had dumb ideas before as well. Like, I just try to teach other people from a little bit of experience now that it's like, I hate seeing someone with only a couple of fights or no fights getting ready and practicing his spinning back fist or some shit, because it's like, there is better uses of your time and your energy. Like, it's just not something that, like, because you might get a really sweet spinning back fist, but like the base that you, like, if you're taking time away from just laying your base to practice your spinning heel kick or whatever, you will not be able to execute technique with that degree of flash. And what you find is, like, once you kind of lay the base, lay the groundwork with fundamentals, you can kind of throw whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had this exact conversation this morning with some of the jiu-jitsu guys. I was like, why would I be teaching inverted berimbolo back takes to heel hooks when you can invest so much more time into doing high percentage stuff like arm bars and triangles? What's the point of that? And he reminded me of something the commentator said in the Suada fight. They said, you should be going for a helicopter arm bar and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why the fuck would he do that? Why not go for a regular arm bar, you know? Yeah, anyway.
But it's like, when I get like I don't know, fair play to all the, I don't know, I'm not going to tell anyone how to train their fighters. It's not my place, right? But when I go to like local shows and you got like a young fighter with a fighter with young in his career that doesn't have his or her career, that with not so many fights, right? And they like, their stance is not so good. They don't really have a sure plan. Like, they don't have, like, they clearly don't have an objective to victory. They're not looking at what's my opponent doing and what do I need to do to win. And like, I don't know, coaches, like, I'd never like the idea that you should really just be preaching unpredictability as a tactic. Like, just be too crazy. Like, because, like, yes, you might win, but you will not develop any enduring skills. Like, because you might, and like,
there's a shelf life to that.
Yeah, like, you get this fighter and you go, like, if you just put your energy out and throw a lot and spin around and stuff like that, like, there's a chance that, like, just the erratic nature of your output will catch your opponent and you win. It's okay, but there's also a really large chance that nothing will come of that. Yeah. And you're just digging a hole.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I've seen enough development days now to amateur shows to pros, and seeing people from that level too, like that to the pro level, where you can see like there's a certain style for development days, cause like the development days in New South Wales or Australia for MTA is like, you know, 3 90-second rounds.
Yeah.
If you're super athletic and you just can burst and things like that, it takes you pretty far in that.
Yeah.
And then it starts to go further, like the more experienced people get, the longer the round goes, like even just the 2-minute rounds, you could see that peters out, because then when someone's not phased by the physicality or they can match your physicality and go, okay, then it's the person with the better technique or the more solid base that always wins, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's why, like, sometimes I see, like, again, this is, like, I could talk on this for a really long time, because, like, as well, like I, you know, whatever my thoughts on spinning, flashing techniques, look, if you want to throw them, you can throw them. Like, they're within the rules. Like, I'm not going to teach anyone to fight like that, because I just think it's gross, to be honest. Like, I mean, like, there's some good styles that involve. Like, some guys that I look at have nice styles, and they incorporate things like spinning around and stuff. But the other side of that is, like, a lot of the time, guys like that have come from a background in, you know, an art that teaches that. Like, they've got their reps in that, and then they've moved over to the full contact styles, like kickboxing or Muay Thai, and they just stick with that. Like, so it's already in the arsenal, and the job is just laying the base with everything else. It's not like if you've already got it, you can, and you're then just setting sort of a foundation in Muay Thai, then like, okay, it's still there.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're starting from the start where you don't, you're just trying to like incorporate that like all over the place style. I just think because like the amount of times as well that we see, like I sometimes go to an amateur show like you're talking about, and I see one person with a pretty nice fundamental style, and they just get outdone on output by someone who's just really like not as sort of technically sound, but they're just doing more. And then like the person with that sort of flashy style might get the win. But fast forward a few years, and like I've seen this heaps, and the person who with all the bells and whistles is kind of not really progressed, and the person who lost that one fight early in their careers is actually moving on. It's just not like a developmentally productive style. Like it's just something like, because you watch these people when they fight, that's the thing about it really, is like if you want to incorporate that into your style, fine, but a lot of the time it's like you show your cards in your first 2 fights. Like these guys, they have success in their first couple of amateur fights, and then they just never get any better. No. Like I see this heaps.
Yeah, it's prevalent, but that's how you kind of separate. But that's why you look at some shows as well. Like, well, I think over the last year or so from that one where like a lot of amateurs now, it's like they probably had a fair few development days, and they're coming in with their first or second, third amateur fight looking fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, and you can see that's the system working as well. It kind of separates like the people that kind of peter out. They might peter out a little bit early, and that's good. Okay. And so you don't have to worry about it being on the show too much then. Well, back in the day, it's like, hey, you get what you get. Yeah. People just kind of like, when their fighters not on, like all the other like amateur fighters that only have one fight, maybe people are not watching that.
Yeah.
Which is now different because everyone seems like they go, oh, this looks really interesting. Yeah. Let's watch it. Well, don't even know these guys.
Yeah. But it's like just an interesting point, like, because a big KO like this one on the weekend it's counterproductive to the development of a whole sport. Because how many kids all over the world now are getting in the gym and just practicing this in play? Because like, I don't know. I think people want to emulate these flashy moves without always understanding where the base is. Like, I guarantee, like, it's the whole thing. Like, I guess I try to pull these things back to Muay Thai. I understand Muay Thai a little bit more closely, but like, you look at someone like Sanchai. Sanchai did a lot of rounds of just kicking and kneeing and keeping the bag and just learning how to walk before he started fighting like Sanchai.
Yeah.
But the problem is now people will see Sanchai fight and they try to be Sanchai, but that's not how it works. Like, then you're trying to start from the top. You know what I mean? Like, I think people look at a move like this one and they go and practice that, and they practice that when it's really like, you actually, like, you can practice it heaps of times, but if you haven't laid the base, it's like you're actually practicing like just the last step, and not laying any productive groundwork to actually executing the technique.
That's the main Barry Robinson say, you're skipping steps.
Skipping steps, yeah.
Skipping steps,
yeah. That is very a Barry Robinson mentality, but I'm very on board with the way he
True.
The way he builds his system, yeah.
Cool. All right, let's leave that there because we still got a recap to go, and it's 10 minutes before Rob Cox will call in.
Yes. See you in a second, and also in the future.
That's it. That's it. We built a time machine.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of these two.
Yeah, that's it. Right, I'm out of here. Fuck it. All right. See you soon. All right.
Bye.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Combat Chat Podcast. This is Hugh, checking in by myself this week. No friends to record with and no guests. So it is literally just me prattling into my computer. Hope you are all doing really well. Things pretty good on this end. A pretty grey Saturday afternoon here in the Shire, but just wrapped up a good week of training and about to commence the weekend. But I thought I'd check in just to get a bit of a recap show done this week. So there's a bit going on. A bit going on that kept us from getting together to record this week. But the show rolls on, so we'll just recap a little bit of what's been going on. What I wanted to do today is just chat a little bit about what's happening in the fight world, the fight community, recap a bit of what's been going on locally, and really wanted to touch on Muay Thai Grand Prix show last weekend, which I watched and really enjoyed because obviously we did a big kind of preview show of that. Promoter Darius was really generous with his time to jump on with us and talk us through that. So wanted to jump back on and just give that a little bit of a recap. Thank you everyone for tuning in to last week's episode with Rob Cox. I had heaps of fun making that. The response has been really good. Gained a lot of traction and really happy that everyone supported that. It's good to get a legend like Rob onto the show and just hear some stories. I think it helps the sport to be able to hear from people like that. A few more interesting guests in the Muay Thai world going to jump on the Zoom with us that are in the work. So stay tuned to hear who those are, because I've been teeing a couple up this week that I think are going to be a lot of fun that I'm really looking forward to. But for now, I'll keep it short. Will I put a timer on it? No, I won't put a timer on myself, but I'll try to keep it short, make a little bit of a mini episode, just run through just a couple of things. I wrote myself a little bit of an agenda so I wouldn't get too sidetracked. But if you've listened to this show a little bit, you know, I get sidetracked. But I'll just follow the course here and we'll get over here in not too long, right? Let's talk local boxing. One thing that really stuck out, look, we don't talk that much boxing on this show. I'm a big boxing fan, but I'm definitely not an expert in any way. That's probably just why I don't talk about it that much. There are smarter people than me that can talk about boxing, but then again, I'm not a Muay Thai expert and I talk about that. So, but one thing that really stuck out to me, probably stuck out to everyone, if you have an Instagram account, former Oz Muay Thai star Benny Marnie has been making moves in the boxing world. He's really climbed the ranks, looking like he's staring down the barrel at some pretty big opportunities at junior middleweight in Oz boxing, which is a good division. Of course, Tim Zoo's weight class, and I can see a little bit of Instagram chatter about Benny Marnie trying to tee up a fight with him, which is fair play to him. That's a massive fight to go after, and obviously wants to start to make moves towards the top of that weight class. A pretty quick rise for him. Like, it doesn't feel like that long ago that he was kind of at the top of our 70 kilo weight class in Muay Thai. And historically, if you look at guys who have tried to make that jump from Muay Thai to boxing, it's such a different game and not that many people have managed to do it well. So look, like, Benny Marnie looks unreal, but it wasn't just that this was such a good performance that made it stand out. Benny Marnie delivered one of the absolutely grossest jaw injuries I've ever seen to his opponent, Benjamin Hussein. This fight was stopped. I think it was a seven round fight. I could be wrong. And the doctor stopped this fight. Get on Instagram, get on Ozboxing's Instagram. If you haven't seen this unbelievably damaged, like, kind of jaw on Benjamin Hussein, like missing teeth, really displaced jaw. And apparently, look, I haven't actually seen this fight. I didn't get on to watch the boxing live, but apparently this was early in the fight. So there's been a little bit of talk about maybe if this was a bit of negligent corner work by Hussein's corner. I couldn't comment, but I think the doctor stepped in and stopped this one. But this was a grisly jaw injury, like one of the worst I've ever seen. So yeah, wishing a speedy recovery to Benjamin Hussein. But not to take anything away, Benny Marnie definitely on a hot streak. I think that's 10-0 now with 6 KOs for him, which he's definitely at a point now, Benny Marnie. I was a massive fan of his when he was a Muay Thai fighter. Like, he had some unreal fights. But he's definitely at a point now where he's not a Thai boxer that's crossed over to boxing. I think Benny Marnie has cemented himself as a legitimate contender at junior middleweight in Australian boxing. So it will be really exciting to see, you know, where he can take it. Looking forward to continue to follow him. So congrats, Benny Marnie. Also moving up that show was Jai Taya, who is one of Australia's top up-and-comers as well, beat Ben Kelleher to defend his regional IBF and WBO titles within 6 rounds. So, yeah, it's good to see with fights moving again, guys like Benny Marnie and Jai Taya, like our country's most promising up-and-comers getting to compete again. It definitely feels like things are starting to get moving again. So, yeah, good to see some of our promising contenders start getting back out there this year. Also in the boxing world, we won't go into too much depth on this, but Vasily Lomachenko was upset last week. So I got a few messages through the week from people asking what I thought of this decision, and my answer was always the same. I haven't watched it close enough and scored it really tightly to say an opinion either way. It didn't look tremendously unfair to me. I can understand this being one of those fights where there's going to be arguments no matter what the decision is. But I think what this one comes down to, regardless of what your thoughts were, Lomachenko didn't do a lot. He was pretty clearly I don't know if you want to say giving rounds away. I think people aren't giving Teofimo Lopez enough credit here because he was shutting Lomachenko down really well with some really nice footwork and kind of just taking away Lomachenko's ability to cut these angles that he likes. So when people are saying Lomachenko was giving rounds away early, he was definitely not doing enough. Not doing enough to like confidently win the rounds. But I think when people say he was giving rounds away, that's not really fair to Lopez because Lopez was using his ring position and his footwork to kind of take away a lot of those tricks that Lomachenko likes to play. It's really, if you want to beat Lomachenko, it's very much easier said than done, but you've got to take away his ability to cut those angles. Like that's Lomachenko's game. It's just that dance-like footwork, his ability to kind of enter and do his work and then exit at an angle that it's just impossible to read. So I think I can understand arguments with this decision just because it was a really tightly contested, really close fight. But I think also that people are probably not giving Lopez enough credit for how he shot. Like I say these kinds of things a lot after fights is when you're looking at a fight with an elite guy like Lomachenko and asking why he didn't do more. I think I was having kind of a similar conversation on here after Adesanya versus Costa. Is that don't ask why a long-time champion or why a high-level fighter didn't do more. Ask why he couldn't do more. In kind of simple terms, I think sometimes we just look at fights as a matter of, oh, he should have done this and this, but that's not what high-level combat sports is. It's not a matter of just like, you know, guys, to defeat a long-reigning champion like Lomachenko, he's not going to come out and just not do things that are required to win. It's like Lopez was taking these opportunities away from him. I think it's just kind of like, you've got to give credit to the little subtleties that will shut down someone like Lomachenko's offense. And I think whether or not you agree with the decision, I think there was a lot of examples of that, of not so much where if you're talking about what Lomachenko didn't do, you've got to look at why he didn't do them. And I think that comes down to a lot of really smart positioning decisions by Lopez to take away Lomachenko's options and make him fight at a range that's uncomfortable for him. So interesting. I'm sure there will be a rematch here, lots of chatter back and forth about decision and stuff like that. And we'll be interesting to see if Lomachenko just gets on the front foot a little bit more in a rematch, maybe long-term champions and guys that look as untouchable as Lomachenko has, there sometimes does become an element of complacency. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of, I love rematches. I love rematches at a high level, and this was pretty clearly an elite level boxing match. So to see a guy with the intelligence in the ring from both sides here, to see what they come to the table with in a rematch will be super interesting. So looking forward to seeing how that shapes up. And it's always exciting when a guy like Lomachenko gets unseated because it just seems so impossible. Like to even, you know, see that result in your newsfeed, it's something insane. So like it almost becomes unfathomable that someone, because it's not just someone with Lomachenko's dominance, it's the way that he's been impossible to touch for the last couple of years. So really interested to see, you know, it's an exciting development when, you know, someone can come in and take that away. So really interested to see what happens in a rematch. What the timeline for that would be, I don't know. Yeah, boxing gets so complicated with how these rematches come together and stuff like that. So that's where it becomes a little bit too much nonsense for my liking. But hope that gets done, and we'll be really interested. I think it'll be a better fight second time around. And let's see if Lomachenko really was kind of complacent and just coasting through. Maybe he, you know, there's always the claims that there's been a lot of news, very typical boxing coming out. Oh, Lomachenko carried this injury and whatever into this fight. And people like to talk about, he didn't take Lopez seriously enough and stuff like that. So the rematch is always that time to let's see if Lomachenko does a little bit more. Let's see if he changes the game a lot, or yeah, maybe let's see if he was complacent. But fascinated to see. Definitely think you know, if you can beat Lomachenko once, there's no reason to say that you can't beat him again. So we'll be super interested to see that rematch between Lopez and Lomachenko, and just some added excitement to boxing in general. Like anytime a long-standing champion gets unseated. But then again, you don't know as well, because like Lomachenko's been absolutely crazy with his weight class moves. So maybe taking a loss is kind of what pushes him, maybe shows him where the ceiling is. And he kind of like it seems almost as though he hasn't really found a weight class to stay in. Like he's just always content to kind of bounce around chasing titles. So yeah, we'll be interested to see if he even sticks around at the weight or if he goes back down. But yeah, very impressive by Teofimo Lopez, and interested to see what's next, whatever it may be. But moving on, the big news this week, so not fight recap news, but just general community news. The New South Wales Combat Sports Authority have said effective immediately that they're going to start granting permits for fights again, or whatever the correct terminology. Basically, fights are allowed to come back in New South Wales. Exciting. Yeah, really was really happy to see this user came out of training on, I think, Tuesday, to see that email get sent out. But I think in 2020, the whole thing is you just can't get too optimistic right off the bat. I mean, you want to be optimistic, of course, but you got to understand that it's not the whole story is yet to come out, you know. And what I mean by that is, yes, fights will be allowed to be permitted again, which is obviously a huge start, but we don't know what the kind of COVID safe restrictions on that are going to be and how feasible it is to put on fight shows as we knew them. I believe there have been some meetings between promoters and the CSA. Like, I haven't heard anything directly outside of, we're going to let fights go ahead as long as the whole event adheres to COVID restrictions, which is cool. Whether or not, you know, I think we're still a ways out from seeing, you know, a real commercial show the way we knew them and the way we love them. I think maybe a little bit more of kind of like a development day setup is probably going to come back first, which is fine. Like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, like I really, for myself personally, I just want to see something go back. Like if we could put some amateurs on or some of our novice guys on, I would be stoked, even just to get in the corner. Obviously I want shows to come back so I can fight myself, but it's not, you know, I'm not the most important person. If the sport can just get back and start moving again in any way, I'm happy. I know fights will come back for myself personally soon enough, so just got to take it as it comes and see what happens. But it does raise another fairly interesting question that I was interested to get into, because I want to get what people's opinions are on this, and I want to ask around the scene a little bit. There was a poll going around this week by one of our premier shows in New South Wales, down to Sydney, and basically they floated the idea that with the restrictions on attendance that we're going to have on events coming right back out of this break, it's probably not going to be feasible to put on pro fights, just because, you know, you can't sell tickets, you can't raise enough revenue to put up purses. So the question was, pro fighters, would you put some elbow pads on and fight for no purse? I haven't really talked broadly, like I haven't asked around about what the consensus on this was. Like I can speak for myself. Obviously I'm a registered pro fighter and would like to get back in there. I think there's a couple of things to this. We don't get paid much in New South Wales to fight. So, like, I don't know. I know for different people the amount of money that, look, everyone makes different money to fight. It's obviously kind of on a case-by-case basis. And it probably, I would say, makes a difference to people in their lives. They fight differently person to person depending on their situation. So I won't say anything on that. Like, for the most part, guys aren't getting paid a lot. Like, I don't think look, for the most part, like, it's nice to get paid to fight. It's nice to get paid. It's nice money's nice, right? But I don't think most people are in a position where the money that they get coming off of a fight purse is like the difference between eating and not eating, you know? So, like, to me, the thing about, I'll just answer for myself. Would you fight for free? Yeah, I would. For the right fight. I am, like, it's never been, like, it just comes back to the same thing. I've never fought, like, for the purpose of making money, because things I want to do for the purpose of making money, I'll go do something where the money's better, right? Muay Thai, we fight for small purses. It's always a passion thing. It's something we just do for the love of it, because the purses aren't really there. Obviously, some guys make more than others. Like, I started making a lot more of my purses coming into this year than I was before. That just comes with experience and stuff like that. But really, like what it comes back to, I think, in this situation is, like, everyone has a limited amount of time that they can compete for. And we've all lost a big, not like, a significant chunk of our careers. Like, I'm pretty sure coming into this lockdown, I had 6 fights on the trot lined up. Like, I was going to have a really, really busy year, provided I got through all the fights I had lined up injury free and stuff like that. I've lost all those fights now just for this, and that's something that, nothing can be done about it. But that's time I'll never get back. So am I going to sit on the sideline and go, no, I won't compete until the situation comes up that, until everything calms down enough that I can start making my purse again? At the end of the day, you'll get paid when the fights come back, but you can't buy the time you've lost back. That's my attitude to it. I always thought of fighting as something that I'm really, really grateful that I get to do, but I'm very conscious of the fact that, you only get to do it once. Like, I've never wanted to waste time in my fight career. And there's a lot of things that I didn't do that I would have liked to do over the last few years, as far as like, travel and things like that I really just wanted to knuckle down and get my fights done while I could get them done. And that just comes down to that thing about sacrifice, is that if you really want to have a good run at your fight career while you're young, you're going to have to sacrifice things. And I think this is going to be an element of sacrifice. It comes back to like, look, if it's really not worth it to you to fight without the purse up, that's your decision. I won't, everyone's kind of situation is different. But for me, I care more about being able to get in and get more Muay Thai experience than I do about making my fight purse. Like there have been, like, I've made different money for different fights. Like, I've always appreciated getting paid a purse. And like the times where I've made some money, where, made the most money fighting, were times where I was running a lot of tickets around and fighting locally and stuff like that. It's going to be a while. And look, that's the avenue to make money fighting. It's not some massive life-changing amount of money. But like, if you want to make some money that, makes a difference in your life, it's your ability to sell tickets that makes the money. It's not even the fight purse as such. And it's going to be a while before we're in a position where we can sell heaps and heaps of tickets to our friends and family and really promote ourselves, because fights are going to be under such restrictions on how many people you're allowed to have in there. So yeah, like, interested to see how that develops, just because I'm interested to hear what people's opinions are on this. I know a lot of fighters that would just say, like, fuck it, it's not about the money. Like this is the thing about fight purses and stuff like that in a sport like Muay Thai. Like, it's always going to be a negotiation thing. Like, there's always, you need to kind of be firm about getting your worth and stuff like that, whether it's about experience or getting compensated for the amount of kind of tickets you sell. But when it comes to, negotiating your fair share, that's your fair share of what is available. And that available kind of revenue pool is now very, very small. So, no one's really entitled to anything here. Like, I kind of hope people are willing to just, and if we want to start making purses again, we have to get the sport moving. Like, if you're not going to fight for a small amount of money or for no money, then the sport just stagnates. And maybe the opportunity to put purses up and stuff never really rises. Not never really rises again, but it's going to take a while. Like, we've got to get the sport moving, and then these purse making opportunities will come back up. That's kind of my take. I think we all stand to make more money in the long run if we grow the sport. And if you're not willing to kind of, take a loss right now, and these are bizarre circumstances, it's not like just a run-of-the-mill show where the promoter's saying, look, mate, I've got no money, will you fight for free? It's like, the question here is, are you willing to fight for free for the opportunity? Because there are no other opportunities. And that's another very important consideration. It's not like, if I'm not going to fight on this show for free because there's a show over there that's going to give me some money. It's not really going that way. If we have to fight with these, really strict low attendance numbers, no one's going to want to put on pro fights. And at the end of the day, that holds you back more. Because if you just wait until these restrictions ease again, and like, how long have you been out of the ring for now? 2 years, 18 months? Like, I just think, I don't know, to me, it's never been about money. I want to make as much money as I can when I fight. I appreciate it when I get a good purse. I make an effort to kind of promote my fights and sell tickets so that I can make the most money possible. But for me, lucky to be steadily employed. I have an income. I don't, it's not a massive difference maker. It's just a little bit of extra pocket money, which, like I said, it's great. I appreciate it. But if you're telling me like your options are fight for free or not fight at all, I'll fight for free, because I don't fight for money. I fight because I love it and I want to see the sport grow, and I just want to get as experienced as I can while I can. So look, tell me on Instagram. I'm really interested to engage in some conversation here with promoters like kind of what your roadmap is to putting on these pro fights with strict attendance requirements. I'm interested to hear from fighters. Like if you're a pro, obviously a lot of people listening to the show are fighters, and a lot of them talk to me a lot. So tell me what you think. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Let's put our heads together on it, because I'm just interested. I'm really interested. So I talked to not that many people about this. I'm interested to hear. I like the ones that I have talked to have all kind of been of a similar opinion to me. Like I was talking to people during this, like, let's just shut the doors in a gym and just fight each other and just, just put on our own show with no crowd and just do it for the fun. I think that's what Muay Thai kind of is. We pretty much fight for free anyway when you factor in everything that goes into a fight versus the money that you get. Like, yeah, like, I don't know, if your purse really makes a difference in your life and you're not willing to fight without it, look, and it's not my place to say you're wrong. Just for me personally, the situation that I'm in and just my thoughts on it are, I would rather fight for free than not fight at all. Experience is more important than anything else for me. So looking forward to seeing kind of what comes out of that. The other side of the fight for free thing is like, it's got to be the right fight. Like had like a few fights lined up this year that were like really going to be, were really exciting prospects for me and things that I think were going to be a chance to propel myself forward. So they're there. And that's the same thing. It's more important is what it does for me rather than the compensation. So if I can get kind of any of those fights happening again, that's sort of what I'm after. The other interesting side of it is kind of the question that was raised was like, would the pros chuck some elbow pads on and fight for free? And I'm interested to hash this out because, can we just fight for free unpadded? Like, I understand it's a little bit of like to fight in that pro format for no purse seems like a little bit, like you kind of need to make some changes to the format to allow for the fact that there's no purse. But like, to me, if I'm fighting for free, I'm fighting for free. Like, let's do it in a pro format. Let's do 5 3-minute rounds and no pads. Like, and let's just get the jump on getting back in, and then the purses will come when they come. That's my thoughts on it. But like, let me know what you guys think. If I'm off the mark, or I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in the ring, so let's just get this moving. Look, but the main thing is like super excited for fights to be coming back and interested to see what it means. Hopefully something comes up soon. Like we said, an amateur show, a development day, something like that. Like, the promoters are all kind of gym owners as well. So they've had to think on their feet a lot this year and that's been something that's been so impressive to me this year. Like I've been really, I've admired the way that a lot of the gym owners I know and just people in the community have pivoted the way they do things. And I think this is going to be it. Like, do we have to do a show outside? Coming up with crowd scheduling based on the number of fights? Like, I don't know, but everyone's impressed me so much this year with their ability to think on their feet. And this is just the next thing. We all want to see the sport move again. So everyone's got to chip in there a little bit. And maybe for pro fighters, the way we chip in is we donate our services to the show. So yeah, lots of movement. Really are starting to feel like the sporting world is coming out the other side of this thing, not to jinx it. But really excited to see what happens next and excited to play my part basically. So we'll keep talking about this as it develops. But like I said, fighters, promoters, interested to hear your thoughts on it. Just interested to start chatter and see how this thing goes. But moving on from that now, we'll talk more on this in the coming weeks, I'm sure, and hopefully talk to some promoters, talk to some local fighters about what this whole thing is going to look like for them. But let's keep it moving. I'll just do a little bit of a skim, just a couple of fights I wanted to point two from Muay Thai Grand Prix. So like I said, we talked to Darius. A lot of people heard this one. Thanks WA for your support of that episode. It was really cool to see. WA has such an amazing Muay Thai scene. Like you can really see them getting behind their guys, and it's something that I would love to see in New South Wales. I think we're going the right way, 100%. Not a knock on our guys here in New South Wales, but WA it's definitely a little bit more ingrained in their Muay Thai culture, is the way they support it. And we put this episode out, and the fighters on the show, the promoter, everyone was like super appreciative that we had given some coverage to this show. And I love doing the episode. So I wanted to touch on. I stayed up and watched the show last week. Which is very late now that daylight savings has come in, but it was worth it. It was an awesome show. I was thinking in my head I was going to set a 30-minute timer, which I'm coming up on for this little segment. So I will just kind of breeze through, do some notable mentions because I had a little bit of one thing I wanted to put a little bit of time into. Let's move through kind of some of my top fights of the night. The WBC titles. Now, this one was very, very impressive. Megan Burbrick versus Shannon Peake. Megan's from Riddler's Gym. I've been following her, she's kind of started to step up to that higher level. She's beaten some good girls. I believe she beat Liv Kerr before this from Phoenix, who's really good, who I'm a fan of as well. So I've kind of been following her results, but hadn't really kind of sat down and watched her fight live, but was super, super impressed by this. Just perfect display of in-ring intelligence and the way her plan kind of came together and sort of got smoother and cleaner as the fight wore on. It was really a battle of, like, she's very tall, she's got a good frame and knows how to use it, does Megan Burbrick. So uses her teeth really, really well. Some nice knees and kicks on the outside. And it was that really quintessential battle of, like, Shannon Peake was trying to press in and she was doing really well. Like, this was very close in the early going, and then you could see that's one of the things I thought was really impressive about Megan in this fight was the way her game started to show more and more as the rounds wore on, and just goes to show as well, like, if you've got a good well-timed teep, you can kind of build so many different games off it, and that's what this was. Is the teep was kind of the foundation of what Megan was doing. Wore off the sort of center line punching attack of Shannon Peake, and then let her, as the fight wore on, build into the other techniques she wanted to use, those step-up knees and kicks on the outside. Just an absolutely beautiful performance and some really nice timing by Megan. I'm looking forward to seeing her fight again. Good showing and very deserving of becoming a state champion. Moving into the other state title fight, this is interesting. Leo Nguyen versus Tim Mitchell. Leo from the Pit and Tim Mitchell, I believe, is from, they're called Legends Gym? Yeah, Legends Academy. Leo, I've seen fight a few times recently, very strong. I think this is a fight where you've got kind of like Tim Mitchell he was the defending champion, like kind of got that real stellar record, but less fights, versus Leo has that sort of more battle-tested kind of record, but at that higher level. So it was kind of like experience versus, like I think Tim had won like all but one of his fights. Or something like that. But Leo, yeah, I think his experience kind of showed here. Tim was moving a lot more, but Leo was just a little bit more efficient and effective. Enjoyed the points. I think Leo is like really strong. I've been impressed with him every time I've seen him fight, win or lose. And I think this was just a good chance for him to kind of show his experience. Enjoyed watching it. Another WBC state titles. It's a pretty loaded card, a couple of title fights and some really good quality on this card, factoring in that the borders were shut. Really enjoyable, but we'll just move on. Love this one. Damon Nelson versus Tyler Hardcastle. There was a lot to like about this fight for me. Damon very strong and had fought Tyler before, and Tyler went on this ridiculous run a couple of years ago where he was just head kick KOing everyone in Australia, and I think Damon had fallen victim to that in the past. So came in with a bit of looking for revenge, I guess, and Tyler had just bounced back in his last fight after a couple of hard starts. Went over to one championship and fought at a crazy high level. Like fought Yo Panamrong first in a Muay Thai fight, and then fought a kickboxing fight, which is already not really his forte as such, against Chen Long Zhang. So two really hard starts in one, and had come back and bounced back at home in Perth on the last Muay Thai Grand Prix show. So it was kind of like both were kind of at that phase of really, like, Tyler's trying to get the ball rolling again. and Damon is trying to get that win back over Tyler because he gained a lot of experience since first fighting Tyler, and you could see that. Like, I thought Tyler looked unreal in this fight. Like, I loved he cut Damon quite early, like just a real sneaky elbow from his lead side, just underneath the eye there, and then just did such a savvy job of kind of attacking that cut. His left hand was unreal in this fight. Like, I think everyone kind of knows Tyler is a big left kicker, but his left hand was on the money the whole way through this fight. Left kick was there as well. Just the first 2 rounds, just a 3-round fight. Would have liked to see 5. Just didn't really let Damon get a start. Like, was really firing that nice long left hand down the center, just playing such a nice southpaw game. But then, like, Damon, fair play to him. I think he really clicked in the 3rd round. Started to really put it on Tyler, and Damon's a big boy for the weight, and he's strong. Just really tried to get in close and kind of make his physicality felt against Tyler, and started to have a lot more success in that 3rd round. So it was one of those things. I think if this was a 5-round fight, it would have really started to become a battle, 3, 4, 5. So maybe these two will go again in a 5-rounder. I think looking at the amount of improvement from Damon between the first 2 fights, Tyler's got 2 wins up now, but I would say they've probably not fought for the last time. Looking forward to seeing what's next for Tyler. I'm a huge Tyler Hardcastle fan. I just think he's unreal. I think he's one of our best. And yeah, so looking forward. But fair play to both boys. Amazing fight. Let me skim to the main event now, just in recap, because I have another one I want to talk about. Actually, I didn't even touch on. Fair play to the promoters in this fight, because the main event was supposed to be Max McVicker versus Roy Wills. And they had a medical emergency. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Max had to pull out on the day of the fight, which we talked to Darius last week about all the challenges associated with putting this fight on. You know, they're in a 3,000-seat arena and they're only allowed to sell 600 tickets with no break in how much they had to pay for the venue, which is just like such a hard spot. But they still did it. They put on 2 shows in one day, and then to get this, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but wishing Max a speedy recovery. It must have been pretty bad. He's a tough kid. He wouldn't have pulled out for nothing. So I mean, I don't even think he pulled out. I think he was pulled out by the doctor. But yeah, so we'll go into but that just shows you how good this card was. The main event was George Mann versus Chris Watt. So that's unbelievable. And George Mann, like, he is one of the best fighters in Australia. At the moment, he's a 1 championship fighter as well, but obviously can't get over there at the moment. Love this fight. I think George has a really beautiful style, and he's such an interesting puzzle for guys to try and solve. He's so tall, knows how to use his frame so effectively. One of the best knee fighters on Australian shores right now, absolutely. Like, just really knows how to control range with that knee. He really builds this kind of false sense of distance and kind of makes guys run onto that knee a lot. And he's one of those fighters that I find so interesting to watch, because you know what he's going to do. You know what George Mann's going to do, but good luck stopping it. That's the game with George Mann. And that's what this was. But Chris Watt held his own really well. He hit George's in really good hands. You could kind of see what the game plan here was, and it was a smart game plan, just kind of couldn't quite get the timing right to really execute it. But there were a couple of times where, you know, as George stood up to throw that knee, Chris hit him. He was throwing the left hook really nice. He landed it quite well. Didn't kind of do any visible damage for George, but you can tell he was landing that shot hard. George just does such a good job of, like, that's why he is such a good ring general. You know, if you start to turn the tables on him, he's got the plan B, plan C, you know, like he knows how to shut down your offense, even if you do get one on, which is kind of what this was. Tied up really well into those clinches, just didn't give Chris any room to move, really didn't give him space to throw. If he landed one, he was not giving him 2, and then just get back to that outside range. Sat back on the ropes and countered absolutely beautifully. He threw that knee up the center. Unreal. Like, if you're a tall fighter and you want to learn how to be a tall fighter, study George Mann. He's unreal. Huge fan. And he's got a massive one coming up. 3 weeks, he's going to step up to super middleweight and fight Stefan Lottering, which I'll probably talk about the week of the fight. But that's a very, very interesting match, because, you know, you've got George. It's a huge guy for 70 to 72, but we'll step up to 76 and fight someone a little bit bigger. Stefan's on the tear. A guy that a lot of people in WA, Pit Boy, that guys in WA are really high on as kind of the next big thing. He's on a good run. Opened up that absolutely brutal card on Eddie Farrell last year on MTGP. So yeah, interested to see that one. Not a match that I would have thought would happen this year, but that's 2020. Like, sort of doing what we can. And fair play to the guys in WA for George for stepping up in weight for this one and for backing it up. Like, he's going to fight twice in 4 weeks, which is like a quick turnaround, especially at that high level. But yeah, fair play to George Mann, and fair play for Chris Killawatt. Held up really well against an elite fighter. Like to watch him fight too. Great show, but let's touch on one fight. I talked about this fight in the preview. Lucas Sayer versus Marco Tentori. Definitely the kind of fight, the young up and comer versus the veteran, the kind of proven veteran, a guy who's fought at a high level in Marco Tentori. I didn't like this decision. I didn't like it at all. I mean, like, I didn't get it. I just didn't understand it. Like, I watched this fight. I think Lucas played the game he had to play. He stayed long. He shut down Marco's sort of bouncy all over the place movement with hard kicks. He really did visible damage. The kicks were loud. They were bruising. Marco was really struggling to close that space. I found he would eat a kick, eat a big scoring kick. He'd get moved by it, be it over his guard or into the ribs. And then he would just charge and he would throw in like really high volume and spin around. But Lucas was smart. He kept his gloves up. I just thought this was like a really commanding showing of like ring smarts by Lucas. And I thought it was, look, I hate to see fights like this, like, where you see a guy really do what he had to do to win and not get it. Like, I mean, look, actually, I'll say, like, I'm not a scoring expert. I feel like I know how to score a fight, but if someone smarter than me says, no, you're wrong, I don't disagree with them. I just try to learn. So I would say, I don't know, if you're a Muay Thai judge and you watched this fight and you thought Marco won, tell me why I'm wrong, because I truly don't understand. That's like, I just think all the damage was done by Lucas in this fight. And because this is why this decision... this is why I didn't like it, because it's not only like, if you see like a fight and a decision, you have a take on it, but it was definitely a coin flip. You go, whatever. Like, it's a super close fight, and I just didn't think this fight was close. I didn't think it was close. I thought it was an absolutely commanding performance by Lucas Sayer, who really showed who he is and what his potential is in this sport. And you got like, I don't know, I've seen this a few times. This is the other thing I want to say from you. Like, Marco played his game, Lucas played his game. I believe in the scoring of Thai boxing, Lucas won this fight very clearly. But I see a lot of shit after this on the internet of people going like, nah, fuck Marco. Like, look, Marco didn't score the fight, right? Marco was obviously trying to win, and the way the judges were scoring were on his side. So whatever, like, you don't need to make bad or like questionable decisions personal, but let's talk through it and all get better at scoring. Like I said, if you're a judge and you listen to us and you go, no, Marco won for this reason, that reason, tell me and I'll go back and watch it. But for me, watching this fight, Lucas controlled the ring. Lucas avoided Marco's high volume attack. Lucas landed some really damaging techniques with his kicks, took away Marco's ability to play his game by shutting down his movement and controlling his entry. Yeah, I don't really get it. Would love to hear other people's opinions. If you think I'm wrong, tell me. Let's talk about it. Fair play, Lucas. Looking forward to seeing him fight again. I don't know. I need to watch this fight again, because I think Lucas as well had some kind of injury or something. I see him kind of playing with his arm a little bit. It would be interested to know what happened there. But either way, just a commanding performance, I thought. And disappointing. I mean, disappointing to see a decision go this way. I didn't see heaps of chatter about it, but I saw like that I was definitely not the only one who felt this way. I saw a couple of comments and stuff like that. But yeah, like, to me, what this was if you're scoring this for Marco, you're scoring what he tried to do and not what he actually did. And that's a massive problem, because you look at how Muay Thai scoring works. It's about delivering damaging Muay Thai techniques with good balance, and neutralizing your opponent's ability to work. And that's what this was. Like, Lucas controlled the ring and he did the damage. I think Marco charged forward a lot and punched Lucas's gloves and spun around, but you don't get, like, we see this, like, whether or not it's in the writing a lot of the time in more kickboxing and MMA, where like you kind of awarded more points if your technique is spectacular, which is why a lot of people spin around. But Marco, like, look, in Muay Thai, you can score points with spinning techniques. Like, that's what the chatter in this as well was like, fuck spinning shit and stuff like that. And like, a lot of people have that take, and I understand why. It's but you can score points with spinning maneuvers in Muay Thai if they do damage, if they visibly damage your opponent. But if you're just spinning around on someone's gloves, you don't get more points. There's no points for trying in Muay Thai. That's the best way to understand the scoring. There's no points for trying. You get points for what you execute, not what you try to do or how you try to do it. So Marco was, he was aggressive. He came forward in bursts, a lot of volume, but I don't think I ever saw him really rattle Lucas. I didn't really see him do a lot more than just attack Lucas's guard, spin around and get counted. Like there was a couple of times where he threw a big elaborate spinning maneuver and Lucas clean kicked him right across the back. It's the perfect way to neutralize someone trying to spin around. And a big score, a big like dominant score, kick across the back. I just thought all the moments in this fight with Lucas is sad to see it. But I think at the end of the day, sometimes when a decision goes that way, everyone who watched it sort of knows what happened. I think Lucas can chalk that up as a win. It's like, you take away a guy's moment when you do this. But I found this, I thought, not really something, I always think of WA as like a really well-schooled state in Muay Thai. So I didn't really think I would see a decision like this. This is the kind of thing we're very used to seeing in New South Wales. I've seen a lot of it on certain shows. But I thought, I didn't really think I would see this in WA. But a good performance by Lucas. Exciting guy. See what comes next to him. But a great show. Awesome show by Muay Thai Grand Prix. Well done, Gavin and Darius. I hope I get to go over and fight for you guys one day. I would love to be a part of it when we can get on planes again. And looking forward to the next show either way. And that's probably through my whole show. I took longer than I intended to, but you know how I am. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back as a group. We've got a guest next week. Stay tuned this week to figure out who that is once we lock in the time. And it's no secret, but maybe it'll be the week after, so I won't tell you who it is yet. And anything you took issue with in the show you want to talk about? If you're a pro, would you fight for free? If you're an amateur, do you think pros should fight for free? Promoters, what are your thoughts on it? We'd really love to open up some conversation about this. Any promoters that want to come on and talk about, what you're planning to do with putting shows back on, would be fascinated to kind of do an episode about it. So get in touch. I'll probably get in touch with some, but if you've got something to say, always happy to have some guests. And that's all from me today. So take care of yourselves, and we will talk to you next week. See ya.